about to discuss with you one of my favorite topics in the world. I love portable tech. I love not just portable stuff, but like super tiny computers that can do AAA gaming. I love the Steam Deck. I love just portable technology to me always fascinates me because I love seeing what lower power, portable, more convenient hardware is capable of. So today I'm going to be showing you, this is just the Miu line here. Today I'm going to be showing you a bunch of these consoles. Now, full disclaimer, I'm not going to show you in this video where to get ROMs. I'm not going to do any of that. I don't even want to get into that topic. But however you get your ROMs, what's amazing about these consoles, and I'm going to show you the Trim UI Brick, I'm going to show you the Retroid Pocket 5, I'm going to show you the Retroid Flip 2, I'm going to show you FPGA consoles. But what's nice about these is that you could fit an entire library of games and you have buttons. I know that sounds stupid, and I know they're really pushing AAA games on like iPhones and Android. I see the games on there, but having something like this and playing GBA, I know I keep using this one, but they're all the same. I like these two are my favorite colors. It just doesn't compare to touchscreen, and it's kind of nice to just have a device where the controller and all the games are, and you don't have to like slap an accessory on your phone. And I mean, I know you're going to be carrying this around too. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but that's okay. But it's just much better, especially with like the 2D games. This could handle up to, these have the same processor in them. Anyway, let me step back a little bit. So these portable game devices are emulation, okay? These do not have like FPGA, like Analog Pocket, but man, they do a great job. These are the Miu Mini V4. These smaller ones are being discontinued by Miu, and these are the Miu Mini Pluses. These devices are awesome for one key reason. The community around these devices are amazing. I'll actually turn on this bad boy. The honeybee, it looks like a bee. All right, there we go. Oh wow, just start me right into that game. That's fine. That's okay. And you could hold that down. If you see a jump cut, it's because it just went right into the game, which is actually something that's awesome about this. But lower the screen here a little bit. So what makes these great is a community-built operating system called Onion OS. Now, one of the things that I wish whether it's Ambernick, not a big fan of Ambernick products, to be honest with you, whether it's Ambernick or Miu, people who are buying these products know how to get the games. When you get these, they come with a really crappy operating system. Crappy may be a strong word, but I don't like it. Some people will say it's usable, but and it comes with a bunch of illegal ROMs. The people who want these devices are going to put their own custom firmware on there or operating system, like Onion OS. They're going to have their legally obtained library of ROMs, and they're going to know what to do. All you're doing, Miu, Ambernick, there's a billion, a Trim UI. When you put the games on here, you're just begging for legal action to be taken against you. And I like these companies. I don't want to see them be taken down. So don't include the ROMs. But getting back to my point, I kind of went off there, is what the community did is made Onion OS, and it just is a much cleaner operating system, has cool features that if you exit a game, it'll automatically save the state for you. Emulators do run better, noticeably better. You can actually do things like 2-player co-op, not with the Miu Mini because it doesn't have Wi-Fi, but with the Miu Mini Plus, the larger one, it has Wi-Fi. You could do like Streets of Rage 2. If you have a buddy that has a Miu Mini Plus as well, you could do co-op that way. Cool stuff. You could also, with Onion OS, with so long as your Miu has Wi-Fi, which the Plus will, do over-the-air updates too. So it's really a great community around this, and this operating system just makes this device worlds better to use. And once you put it on there, I mean, the specs in here are nothing special. It's a dual-core ARM processor, 128 megabytes of DDR3 RAM, maybe LPDDR4. I think it's DDR3 though, so you're not working with powerful hardware. But what optimizations have been done is phenomenal. It just is amazing what the community did with such a limited piece of hardware, and they made something that would have just been okay into something that's absolutely amazing. Now, you may be looking at these smaller ones, right? And you're probably thinking to yourself, yeah, all right, Rich, the size of this is cool or whatever, but the buttons just seem so small. They're not. Let me show you. Is this on camera? Kind of. Let me slide these over. I have this Xbox Elite controller here for a reason. Here's the D-pad for this. See? And now, you notice something? Same size D-pad. That's why the Miu Mini V4, even though they're discontinuing it now, I'm hoping they're just discontinuing it because they're going to come out with a newer model, maybe with a higher res screen and Wi-Fi built in. But what makes these so awesome, the smaller Miu Mini V4s here, is it's not the most comfortable console in the world, but at the same time, it has no right being as comfortable as it is for its size. And part of the reason that it is because there's other Linux-based small handhelds that are smaller even than this, or they're the same size, and the small size was the selling point. But the thing was with those is that the buttons were too small, the D-pad was too small, so it was a gimmick. This is not a gimmick. It's not a gimmick because all the face buttons are full-size buttons. Now, the triggers on the back are serviceable. They're not amazing, but if you need them for certain like SNES games or Game Boy Advance games or what PlayStation games, they get the job done. But these buttons here, which are mostly what you're going to be using, are great. They're like one step away from an actual Nintendo controller. So I'm going to turn the sound off and get into a game here. Maybe I can actually go into my quick list of games. There we go. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Nope. Alright, I guess I'm going to do this the old fashioned way. I think I'm forgetting a setting, but let's, you know what, I'll show you some Doom on here. You can also add an SD card. Now, when it comes to Onion OS, something I almost forgot. You want to get these will come with an SD card with the operating system they have that's Linux based Miu. But they're going to put it, first off, they're going to, that operating system, like I said, sucks. Just keeping it real. And secondly, they're going to give you an SD card that is garbage. Get your own SD card. Get a name brand one. Get like 128 gigabytes. There's plenty of tutorials from TechDweeb, from Russ from Retro Game Core, on how to install Onion OS on there, how to get your different emulators on there and ROMs. Just do that, trust me. Because even if you put Onion OS on here, you don't buy it pre-installed, which you can buy these pre-installed with Onion OS. Same with the Miu Mini Plus. Having it on their no-name brand card is a ticking time bomb. And if you put Onion OS on there, it'll work. But the question is, for how long? And I'll give you the answer to that. It's not long. So anyway, I'm looking for Doom here. I know I have Doom. Almost positive there's Castlevania. There's Doom. Okay. This port of Doom is actually pretty interesting. This is for the PlayStation 1. So this is Doom. Turn up the volume a little bit here. Don't know if you're going to pick it up, but this is Doom for the PlayStation 1, and this is a very well-received, unique port. It has Doom 1 and 2, but they changed up the levels, they changed up the music, they changed up the combat, and it worked, man. This is a great port, and it's actually cool to play it on something this small. Ultimate Doom will do Doom 2. Now let's do the original Doom. Let me tilt this down more so you could see it. There we go. Be tough for me to see, but that's okay. Alright, so this is Doom for the PlayStation 1. You're not going to be able to hear the music, but they went with a more haunting atmosphere, not like the hard rock music you would hear in the original Doom for the PC and other ports. Even the enemies have like a more demonish grunt to them. I really like what they did with the sound design here. And at the time, this was a god tier port. The Atari Jaguar had a good port too. At the time, that when that first came out, that was considered the best port. But this is I actually prefer this. Doom on the Jaguar is great though, and I don't mind that there was some kind of hardware issue that they couldn't have. It's kind of tough to play while filming this, but nonetheless, here's Doom running. Castlevania Symphony of Night runs great on here too. And these devices are awesome. I'll show you a game now running on the Miu Mini Plus. And you could turn this off, and I'm pretty sure it'll save the game for you. Yep. Onion OS is so awesome. Okay. So, I mean, you could also strafe to in there with the L and R trigger. So let's turn this back on. Making sure I will not be playing any games with plumbers with mustaches for very obvious reasons. I think you'll understand. We could play some Super Castlevania 4. One of my favorite games of all time, and it runs flawlessly on here. I don't know if you're going to pick up the music. If you do, it's the speaker in the Miu Mini V4 is a little anemic. I think that most of you will expect that. In here, it's more than fine. Sounds pretty good. These have headphone jacks too as well. So if you want to hook up your headphones, looking at the viewfinder here, recording this on my iPad. Man, but the screen colors on here are awesome. It's not going to have the same high-res screen as the Trim UI Brick, which is also a beast of a handheld. I'm trying to let you guys see, man. This iPad, every angle I have is at, it still shows it being super tilted, but nonetheless, it looks clean. The colors are nice on here, accurate, and the emulation in most cases is so damn good. Once you start getting up to the PlayStation and beyond, GBA runs great on here. That doesn't count, but home consoles, I should say. Once you get past the PS1, you're going to start struggling, but that's not what you're buying this for anyway. But yeah, great system. All these consoles, they range around $50-ish. So they're not expensive. Just know you're going to have to put in a little bit of legwork when you get them. To have the best experience, you got to get Onion OS on here. They do sell them at a premium if you want to have Onion OS pre-installed. Sometimes they're not that much more expensive, and sometimes they actually are the same price, but generally there's a premium. But even if you do that, you're going to have to clone the SD card, because they'll still put Onion OS, even if it's pre-installed. They won't give a name brand card, which sucks. So you're going to have to get a cloning hardware, or cloning software, and clone whatever is on the cheap SD card it comes with, and then take that image and put it over to a new SD card that won't light itself on fire inside of your Miu Mini or any device. All these devices, a lot of them are great devices, but a lot of them come with absolute crap SD cards, if not all of them. Anyway, so these are fantastic, very affordable too. Well, we'll see how much tariffs, the prices are going to fluctuate. I actually like this color too. This is the OG Nintendo colors here. From a practicality standpoint, I would say go for the Plus. These are being discontinued, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're fantastic. They're just they're an outdated device. I guess maybe they're making a new one with faster processor or Wi-Fi built in. But if you want one and you want just the practicality, it's more comfortable. The Miu Mini Plus has a Wi-Fi built in, so when you put Onion OS on here, which you absolutely should, you could just get over-the-air updates, 2-player co-op via Wi-Fi. A lot of reasons, and yeah, your hands will get cramped way less with that. So I'm gonna put these away. Moving on. One other thing I forgot to mention about the Miu Mini V4, which is going to be discontinued soon. Again, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm not even going to have affiliate links just because I don't want anyone to think I'm not being transparent about that. But the Miu Mini V4, again, the smaller one they're getting rid of. Unless they change that, because you could still go on Amazon and find these no problem, or unless they had that much stock. But even though this isn't the one I'd recommend out of the two, what's cool about this is that it's very pocketable. Yeah, it's a little thicker than a wallet, unless you're like one of those OGs that have 5,000 things in your wallet, but you put this in your pants pocket, you barely know it's there. So when you're on break at work, or if you're the passenger in a car ride, or you commute on a train somewhere, or wherever you are, you can have this with you and no one's going to think twice. Because let's face it, even in 2025, there is still that stigma about being an adult and walking around with a dedicated handheld. So this way you can walk around with a dedicated handheld with a ton of games on it, countless thousands of games, and no one will think you're a weirdo. There you go. So I still recommend the Plus because I like I just think it's more practical, larger screen, Wi-Fi, but that's one thing that's a huge selling point to me about the Miu Mini V4 over the Plus, but I still recommend the Plus. Now these two bad boys. And no, I'm not talking about my nipples. Are awesome. These are by a company called Trim UI, and they are called the Trim UI Brick. Now, Trim UI made another device. I think it was called the Smart Pro. All these come with these cases, by the way. And I heard mixed things about it. Like, people like it, but it wasn't perfect. I'm not saying these are perfect, but actually that's the black one here. I'll take it out just so you could see it, but I'll turn on the purple because purple is a very sexy color. At least in this, I'm usually not a purple guy. But this is the Trim UI Brick, and it's different. You can get access to the battery in here, but one other nice thing about the Mius that I forgot to mention is that 5,000 milliamp hour battery in the larger Miu Mini Plus and 3,000 in the smaller one. That whatever. The milliamp hour is, if you want to get one, look it up. But the battery life on them is good. This you cannot do that with, I guess. You're gonna have to open it. I forgot what the hell I was talking about, but that doesn't matter. But what is cool about this is the fact that its build quality is so awesome. It kind of feels like a mini analog pocket, and the screen resolution is 1024 by 768 on this small screen. So it has a very high pixel density, and man, you notice it. So Now this also too, I put a custom firmware on there. I put MinUI because I would say the operating system that this comes with is crappier than the operating system that the Mius come with. So this is MinUI. Now one thing, actually let me show you around the device here. You got your USB-C for charging. One other thing, my God, I keep thinking of all this stuff. And I keep thinking about the Miu. The Miu Mini V4, look this up to make sure. This is kind of an afterthought that's just coming to me now. You could charge it with power delivery. The Miu Mini Plus, even though I believe it's newer, you can't use power delivery. If you put power delivery, if you use a high wattage power delivery charger with a device that isn't compatible with it, it could cause problems. And I had a We Are Rewind tape deck. Why did this shut off? Turn back on. And I charged it with power delivery because it's a cassette deck, a portable one, and it has USB-C. So I just plugged it into, think like my iPhone charger, which is a high-speed power delivery charger. Turned it on. That was it. Wouldn't take a charge ever again. I ended up frying it because it wasn't supposed to be charged with a power delivery charger. So just be mindful. I don't remember which devices. I like double check with the Mius which ones are compatible with power delivery. I believe these are too. I looked in forums. They said it's compatible, the Trim UI brick with power delivery, but just be careful. If you want to always play it safe, just use a name brand USB-A charger and get a USB-A to USB-C cable. And there you go. You don't have to worry about blowing out the power circuitry. So anyway, the Trim UI Smart Pro kind of looked like a PSP. I think that's the name. And it got good reviews. But they weren't stellar. Okay, I got to turn the brightness down. I see that now. Come on. Down you go. There you go. That didn't get great reviews. Or they were mixed, I should say. They just like they try to make it look like a PS Vita. It had analog sticks, had a 720p widescreen. You could still buy it now. But they just like dumb oversights with that one. Like the analog sticks, they didn't have the L3 and R3 for clicking in for a button, which, if you're looking to emulate like PS1 games on there, I think it could go even further than that too. This has the same chipset, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think it does. I saw people emulating Dreamcast on there. So anything, again, the DualShock controller was out for the PS1. You were going to have a tough time if you had to click the sticks in. You're going to have to map the buttons somewhere else. So that was kind of dumb. There were some issues with the build quality with that too. But what's cool about this is they seem to have listened. The build quality, this thing's built like I was about to use a phrase with a profanity, a brick crap house. I'll use crap instead. The D-pad on it is a little small, but it has like a good clicky feel without being too clicky. And again, it essentially looks like a mini analog pocket. Again, this is not using an FPGA. This is once again using emulation, Linux based. This is not the original operating system. This is MinUI. Yes, the operating system on here that it comes with sucks. Keep in mind though, this has Bluetooth built in. The native garbage operating system actually utilizes the Bluetooth, and you could use wireless headphones. Kind of a cool feature. The bad news is when you go to MIUI, the developer of it never implemented Bluetooth, and they never will. Still kind of looks blown out on my screen. Why? I mean, not that I'm really, so this, I mean, the operating system is MIUI, it's minimal. So it's very clean. Kind of actually looks like, if I remember correctly, unless they did something new, it kind of looks like the OS or the UI that's on the Analog Pocket. But nonetheless, let's play some TurboGrafx 16 games on here. It'll play I've seen people, I think, even doing Dreamcast on here. 1 gigabyte of RAM in here, which is a ton more RAM than the Miu Mini V4 and Miu Mini Plus. They only have 128 megabytes. So this is a gigabyte faster processor. And on top of it, it has a nicer screen. So let me show you a game on here. Let me go to TurboGrafx 16. Maybe I'll play some Bonk. Should have Bonk on here. Bonk, bonk, bonk. There's an easier way to go through these. Oops. Also on the back too. So let me show you. That's stupid. Let me show you around the system. Headphone jack once again. You have a reset button here. I guess if your system crashes. You have USB-C. This, what I read, is compatible with power delivery. This actually has 2 USB-C ports. One is for charging and data, I think. And this one up here is just for data. You can't charge from it, just for data. Interesting little addition there. You have your SD card slot or TF card slot, whatever the hell you want to call it. Your volume control is over here. Also, too, if you hold down this button, you can control the brightness, which I think you saw me do. And here are your triggers on the back. They feel all right. Again, they're serviceable. They're not great. I appreciate they giving you four shoulder buttons, but you know, there's still not anything to write home about. And there you go. Let me show you Bonk running on here, and the screen, like I said, is gorgeous on this thing. It's one of the best screens I've seen on these handhelds. That's why I want to show you Bonk. It's colorful. And I won't have Shigeru Miyamoto come here and slap my cheeks. And I'm not talking about the ones on my face. Bonk's Adventure. Where is this version? And why is that not running? Okay. Did I pick the wrong one? I think so. Yeah, that is not Bonk. Try. That's Bonk's Revenge. Let me try this one right here. Oh yeah, that's working. Let me see what you see here. Besides my beautiful round head, which I'm seeing in my viewfinder, that I'm using screen share, screen mirroring on the iPad, and it's super laggy, so I'm like seeing myself 30 seconds in the past. So I don't know if this is going to do it justice. I lowered the brightness so it's not blown out, but the screen on here is so good. One of the best screens on a sub $100 Linux-based emulation device. And again, the same thing applies here. I recommend there's other operating systems too. Do your research. I picked MIUI. Don't use the operating system it comes with. There are plenty. Just do some research again. Watch videos from Tech Dweeb, Russ from Retro Game Core. Hold it down even more. You're seeing it, and make sure again to get yourself a micro SD card. They're not expensive. Get a name brand. SanDisk, Samsung, Lexar, 128 gigabytes. These are older games. You're not going to be, emulating the Switch on here. Not that you should be doing that anyway, you naughty SOBs. But, this is a great handheld. I had a brain fart there, and that's okay. This is a great handheld. Great screen. And you can't beat the price. Oh, yeah, this is what I was saying. Get a name brand SD card. For the love of God. They're cheap. You can get like 5 packs of name brands that are 128 gigabyte for like $50, and you'll get 5 of them. I got those on Amazon too. And again, because the games are so small, you're going to be playing mostly older games on here. You're really not going to go through that very quickly. Maybe if you do a lot of PlayStation games, or maybe Sega CD, you can maybe go through it, but even now, I don't know, not even, you'll have to put effort in to fill up 128 gigabyte SD card with retro games. But that's what I recommend. Put MIUI on here or your operating system of choice. There are other options. Get a nice SD card. And this is one of the best emulation handhelds, especially for its price, under $100 that you can buy. So, and I usually don't like purple, but for some reason this thing in purple is awesome. I highly recommend the Trim UI brick, especially if you're on a budget, you just want to get one device, the screen clarity, and the power that it has under the hood for the games that you're going to play on here. It's perfect. Can't recommend this enough. Fun fact, in my viewfinder right now, I'm actually still playing Bonk's Adventure. That's how far behind it is. They give you a choice here, and some people like this. I don't really care. Where you can put on different shoulder buttons that may be more comfortable for your fingers. The reality of it is, with a vertical handheld, or they call it candy bar handheld, or whatever, phone brick, Game Boy style handheld, whatever, these are never going to be great. So they can give you plastic replicas of my nipples to put back here and flick, and it's still not going to be. And my nipples are amazing. Anyway, let me put these away. Maybe I'll leave this in. Speaking of weird nipple-like devices, do you guys remember when the 3DS, when developers and the consumer wanted for the 3DS a second analog stick, which, why in 2011 with a handheld you would not put analog sticks on? 2 analog sticks is mind-blowing to me. But they had that for the original 3DS. It was like a big oblong shaped piece of plastic, and you would connect it to the 3DS, like place the 3DS in there, and it was so ridiculous. You just had this nub, this gray nipple And you had this really ridiculous piece of plastic. What a sight that must be, being out in public with that. It looks like your 3DS had a giant growth on it. Oh, look, one of my beard hairs fell off there. That's attractive. Anyway, moving on. Now, things are going to get interesting. Okay. Now, we are in FPGA territory. Now, I'm not going to get too technical with FPGAs, but it's actually simulating the original hardware. They're not using emulation, they're not using software. These portables actually act like the original hardware. This being the mod Retro Chromatic from, I think his name is Palmer Luckey. He was the dude who actually founded Oculus, which is now like the Oculus Rift, the VR headset. Excuse me, I had to scratch my nose. He sold that to Facebook. And he made some ungodly amount of money. He is life-changing. He's set for, he has generational wealth now. It's now the Meta Quest, by the way, but that used to be the Oculus Rift. Anyway, he, for whatever reason, I guess he's a big fan of the Game Boy, and he wanted to get into the FPGA game, and he made this premium Game Boy Color type FPGA handheld called the Mod Retro Chromatic. Interesting side note about Palmer Luckey, and if this deters you from buying one, he's now an arms dealer, and he has a mullet. He's like a 80s action movie villain. Maybe not the main dude, but like the friend that gets the weapons for the villain. It's kind of crazy. I don't know, I just find that funny that he has a raging mullet and he's selling firearms. He's an arms dealer, and he's also making FPGA Game Boy clones. What an interesting career choice he chose there. I don't know, maybe I'd be rocking a raging mullet and being an arms dealer if I was a billionaire as well. And I'm kidding. Anyway, this is his console. We'll go into the analog pocket in a second, actually. Besides clearing the phlegm out of my throat, I wanted to show something before I forget it now. So, this is the analog pocket from Analog. Great product. Don't like the company. And this, oh good, it's black as well. And this is the trim UI brick. Move this stuff out of the way so it's a little. Are you noticing something? The trim UI brick is a total design knockoff of the Analog Pocket. In some ways, I feel like build quality wise, the trim UI may have one-upped. All right, no, that I take that back. But I mean, the build quality, like I said before, with the trim UI brick is awesome. And like you say, I wasn't kidding. I actually forgot how much they look the same. The analog pocket in this looks so similar, minus the extra menu buttons here. Even the triple button setup down here. But anyway, we've already talked about this system quite a bit. And hey, would you look at that? My viewfinder is lagging again. Great stuff. Awesome. Money well spent. I don't know what it is with screen mirroring on iOS devices when you're recording on the camera. I've looked in forums and no one has at least where I looked, a straight answer for that. So we'll get back to the analog pocket in a minute. So this is, like I said, the mod Retro Chromatic. Gave you the whole story, and Palmer Lucky Palmer. My palm is lucky, whatever. I don't know what the hell his name is, but so he's making this now. Okay. So his whole thing with his FPGA, even though you can't do as much with this. Make sure I'm in frame here. It's unbelievable how laggy this is. Sorry to be complaining about this in the video, but if there's some, I have to figure out a better solution. If there's some stuff that's slightly out of frame, my apologies. But anyway, I'm looking now. It's not that bad. This is the mod Retro Chromatic. Now, the selling point to this compared to the analog pocket, according to Palmer Lucky, is a few things. And I'll show you in a second here. Do I have a game in here? Oh, I have a flash card. I don't know what that is. Let me get. Actually, it actually comes with a game. You know what? Before we get into this, let's look around at the box, because the box on this, I have to say, is pretty cool. And then we'll get into the features of the. Well, I don't need to put it back in. So essentially, he went for the whole retro design. I remember actually drawing these on my notebooks, the S, when you were bored crapless in your class. I love the colors too. They make it very 90s looking. It looks like something that you might get from Nintendo in the 90s. Nintendo was all about color in the 90s. Like they had the N64s. God, man, how many colors they have that damn system in. Wild times. Anyway, I remember I only had the black one, but they had a Pokemon N64. They had like a see-through crystal blue one. A whole bunch of other colors too. You would never see that nowadays. About most you could do is for your Switch or Switch 2 get different colored Joy-Cons. But anyway, these are all the colors that it comes in. I think they have one that's like a Logan Paul exclusive, because I know that's just going to make me do a backflip and buy one of these consoles. Maybe that will sell to somebody. Who knows? I don't know. But don't like younger people watch Logan Paul. I know he's like a wrestler and crap like that too, and he's, pouring energy drinks all over his ass cheeks, but who cares? What am I talking about? Anyway, so features. Enjoy a library of newly created games, which I will admit they don't look great, on chromatic cartridges, as well as remastered versions of your favorite classics, like it comes with Game Boy. It comes with Game Boy. Jesus Christ. It comes with Tetris. It's licensed from Tetris Holdings too, so it's not like some compatible with original Game Boy and Game Boy Color cartridge games. So that's where the Analog Pocket kind of has a one-up on this too. You could play Game Boy Advance. You could get other cores for the Analog Pocket and Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo. It's way more flexible than this, but I'll talk about it more once we get over talking about the box. What the benefits supposedly are to the Mod Retro over the Analog Pocket. For the first time ever, see your classic games with pixel level accuracy. Oh, it's kind of giving away the surprise. On Chromatic's custom sunlight readable display. Okay. If you watch like on YouTube, the Sizzler reel where Palmer Luckey and his mullet are in there, he went out of his way to get the custom Game Boy Color resolution on here. So it's not like just some random LCD display that's just off the shelf. He's getting the exact resolution that the Game Boy Color was, so games should look more accurate on this screen because it's the same resolution as the Game Boy Color. I think I've said that like 60 times, but you get the point. So that's something. His whole thing in his YouTube Sizzler reel too is this is it has a sapphire screen to make it very scratch resistant covering. I mean, I'm talking about it now with you, right? And it's made of like a metal or magnesium, I believe. All of it. And there is my flashcard of all my illegally owned games that I sadly lost in a fire. I had to run away from that fire on horseback, shirtless. It was very sad. But so it's built. This thing is solid. Now, the first one I had of these, okay, was actually defective because here I'll show you. One of the other things, you could buy a battery pack that's rechargeable and you could recharge it via the USB-C port. But this is a selling point to me. This uses 3 regular, good old-fashioned AA batteries. So one of the things they talk about, this is like a device that's not meant to go artificially obsolete by if say there was no AA's you could put in here, it had an internal battery. Once that goes, I mean, unless you want to gut it and open it, UBSOL. Whereas with this, I don't think AA's are going anywhere anytime soon. So as long as you take care of it, don't let leaky AA's go in here and where they go bad and the acid leaks out of them. Essentially, so long as this thing doesn't have any other defects to it, it should work okay. But here's the thing. The first one I got of these, I had to return because no matter what batteries I used, it would always say low battery. All brand new. I tried the ones it came with, low battery. I tried Duracells, Energizers, all brand new batteries. Didn't mix any batteries, low battery. I updated the firmware on this to the newest firmware from the Mod Retro website. It actually made the problem worse. So, yeah, that kind of left a bad impression on me. So, anyway, but I exchanged it. God, GameStop's exchanging. Their policies are terrible. What a nightmare that was. But anyway, finally got my exchange, and this one actually works just fine. I would say the one issue is the power switch up here. I could turn no game in there, but whatever. Kind of doesn't, you think you put it one way, clicks, put it the other way, clicks. It has like, when you go turn it on, there's like a double click there. It turns on fine every time. But, and he says this thing is like, oh, I designed it to be like generational, where, it's built so well that, and so long as you take care of it, you could pass it down to different generations like a piece of jewelry. I'm like, yeah, dude, if the first one I had, it couldn't read batteries properly and kept on saying that it was, the batteries were dying. And this one, I mean, it's fine. It turns on, like I said before, first time every time, but it just doesn't feel durable. So for a product that the biggest selling point to this, and this thing isn't cheap, I think it's like at least $200, is its durability, because it doesn't have the flexibility of the analog pocket. It's not really showing me the durability. It feels durable, but how something feels and how it actually behaves in real world use in terms of the quality of it are two different things. I could put, cover a turd in platinum. If it's a turd, is still a turd no matter what you cover it in, even if you cover it in gold. So anyway, though, who knows? This switch may last forever. So let me flip it on here. Don't turn it up too loud. The screen is really nice on here. It almost looks like OLED, which is kind of wild. And yeah, I mean, I'll play some Tetris on here and show you what it looks like. They made Mod Retro made sure that this was a very colorful version of Tetris. I guess Palmer Luckey wanted to flex the custom Game Boy Color resolution screen he got here. It's funny holding this thing. There was a time, even the Game Boy Color, even the first iteration of the Game Boy Advance didn't have backlights. It wasn't until the Game Boy Advance SP that Game Boy came with a backlight. I know they made iterations of, like, there was almost like a blue light up. It looked like those Indigo watches from back in the day of the Game Boy that was in Japan. We never got the Game Boy Light here. So yeah, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I don't think we got anything with a backlight from Nintendo until the SP Game Boy Advance, which is kind of wild if you think about it. That was in 03. It wasn't like LCD technology was young, but I guess it was a cost reducing feature. And when the SP, which I actually have one right over here, came out, it was more affordable. So let's play some Tetris. It's a little blown out, but we'll go with new player. I will name myself Horse. I don't know why, I just want to be a horse. All right, I am done. I'll just do a marathon. Just start the game. Yeah, it looks great. It really does. But with how, now the D-pad, that's another thing too with this. And this is why for the price too, it's a good D-pad. It is quality, but it's noisy, man. And the other one was like that too. And the travel, one of the other things that they missed the mark with this, kind of reviewing this right now, aren't I, is the face button travel, whether it be the D-pad or the B and A buttons, it's too much. Is it unusable? No, not at all. It's perfectly fine to use, but it doesn't feel as good as it should, especially for the price point this thing is. And as you hear, maybe you hear, You'll have to trust me on it if you don't hear it. The buttons are pretty clacky, and since I've used more than one of these, I can confirm that's just kind of a thing. But I mean, this is pretty impressive. The screen is very nice, and this is a solid version of Tetris. Tetris is one of like the only puzzle games that I like. I'm not a big puzzle game guy, probably because I suck at them. But yeah, do I recommend this? I like it a lot. I like the feel, but for the price of it, and honestly, I'm not impressed with the build quality for the reasons I said before. You're still better off getting an analog pocket. Now, I have plenty of issues with analog as a company. I don't like how they run their business. But in terms of value, I just don't think this can compete with the analog pocket. This could just play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. That, with some mods from the community, not even physical mods, just saying like you could download cores for different systems. The limits are endless with the endless possibilities, I mean to say, with the analog pocket. Whereas with this Game Boy Color, and I'm sorry, with the physical flaws that I mentioned before, the selling point of it just being durable, not with my experience. My first one was defective and kept on saying low battery with fresh batteries. And this one, I had my complaints about the controls, which I have face buttons, which I mentioned to you before, and the power switch, which again works every time, but it feels flimsy. And I don't know, at this price point, the selling point is the screen and the durability, and it has sapphire, so you can't scratch it, but I don't think that's enough. I think they need to do more. And it being durable, I kind of debunked. So, cool product. I like it. I love the screen, but it doesn't justify the price. All right, I'm going to stop rambling about this now. Now we're going to look at the analog pocket. The analog pocket. I really want to find that game. Oh, I know why I can't find the game case. Anyway, because the EverDrive is using the case for Tetris. All right, so let's flip this around. And let me grab another magical device here. This is the analog pocket. This has been out on the market since, I believe, 2022. And it is awesome. Now, I'm not a huge fan of analog as a company. I don't like the fake scarcity crap that they do. I don't like just how they run their business. I don't like their return policy. I don't really like much about them. But their products do kick ass. Now this, as much as it looks like a trim UI brick, this is FPGA as well. And one of the big selling points to this is that not only can you emulate, like, God, you could officially, if you want to, you could go there, like, out of the box, it could do Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color. Okay. Now you could do other systems with cartridge adapters in the legit way. You could get an adapter, I believe, for the TurboGrafx 16, Atari Lynx, Game Gear, and you just put them in here. You put the Game Gear cartridge in, or the TurboGrafx 16 Hue card in here, or whatever system with the adapter in here, and it'll play those too. But out of the box, it'll play Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy Color. And this thing is just badass, man. Now this is fully updated too. One of the things that's interesting about this as well is, let me show you around the system. I'm such a dumbass. So here's some other cool stuff too about this. So you get your headphone jack, USB-C. It also has the link connector. So if you play a game where you could have two Game Boys linked together, you have that there. On the side here, you got your power button, your volume, two triggers on the back, which again, for this form factor of handheld is fine. It's fine. But they're serviceable like every other handheld. There's nothing really you could do with the way the ergonomics or something like this are. But if you're going to play, Super Nintendo or Game Boy Advance games, they do the job. Anyway. So let's play the cartridge. Oh my goodness, what is that? No. So let's go play some GBA here. Castlevania. Harmony of Dissonance. Let's go. Yeah, let's play some of that. Clean boot. Now with this, I'm pretty sure. Yes, now one thing that's cool is you can do save states. Even though it's FPGA and it's simulating again, it's not using software like emulators. They're actually simulating the GBA hardware, the Game Boy hardware, the Game Boy Color hardware with, you got to look up field programmable gate array. Is that right? Now I need to find out. Hold on. Okay, jump cut later. I was right. So in terms of build quality on this, oddly enough, I actually like the build quality on this better over the mod Retro Chromatic. I'll keep it real with you. The buttons have a more natural Nintendo-like feel, and that's not much cheaper. Like, it's just not. The buttons don't feel like an afterthought. They feel very good and responsive, and they feel like if you had an SNES controller. The bumpers are weird. They make like a weird springy noise, and then they do the job. But as you're seeing here, select my data, just do a new game, name myself Man. I don't know if it's going to come across on the screen here. Let me see something. Yeah. Damn. Settings, pocket, display. Gonna turn down the brightness. So that should be better for you. It shouldn't be overexposed. So this is Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance. Now, one of the things I heard here, this is just random thoughts things that I'm remembering, is that the team that developed this sequel, because it was Curse of the Moon, if I'm saying the name right, that was the first Castlevania game. Harmony of Dissonance was the second, and I believe there were two separate teams. The Game Boy Advance had the audio hardware for the original Game Boy, and it had the audio hardware for the GBA. They didn't realize that there were other developers that didn't too. It wasn't just Konami. So they kind of, it's weird. It looks like a PlayStation 1 game with the audio from the original Game Boy with some extra flair in there. So interesting thing. All right, the screen looks a little more. Now the screen on here is gorgeous. Okay, it's a very high resolution screen, high pixel density. So even though, the whole thing they flex with the mod retro is that it's, 1-to-1 with the GB Game Boy Color, it's not like you're going to look at this screen and be like, oh man, I wish I had a native resolution Game Boy Advance screen. And it just looks great, very responsive. And it's funny, man, even with the exposure is a wild thing. So I think I showed the buttons before on here. I still have the I keep it on here as like a screen protector, the plastic it came with. You could also, too, if you want to, soft mod this and have other cores on here like Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, if you just want to play games. Excuse me, I'm sweating in this room because I can't have the AC on when doing an ASMR video. If you want to have other cores in here and not worry about having any kind of cartridge in here, you can just play the games right off an SD card. Even systems that, now I think some of those are not going to be FPGA, they're going to be emulation, but I hear they run great. So, and it's not a cheap product, and there's an argument to be made that there's benefits to emulation in terms of like save states and other things you could do, but with software emulation, but you could do a lot of that here too. You could do save states like I just showed before. Like for example, oh wait, wrong button. Oops. Trying to play and keep this flat is definitely a challenge. You go to settings, you go to memories. What the hell? Okay. Go to memories. Okay, here I'm an idiot. Here it is. And you could save states just like an emulator, and this is not emulation. So interesting product, but you're going to definitely pay a premium for it. But between this and I know a lot of people who may have been looking at this may have looked also at the mod Retro Chromatic. There's, as much as I'm mixed on analog as a company, at best, there's no denying that this thing kicks ass, and it's one of the best, if not the best, handheld clone. I think calling it a clone kind of does it a disservice that's out on the market. But if you don't care about having, if using emulators doesn't bother you, a lot of those other handhelds I showed before are under $100, way under $100. And they play games. I've played Harmony of Dissonance on the Miu Mini and the Miu Mini Plus and the Trim UI, and it runs just as good as it does on here. So this is like a $250+ device. Those are like sometimes anywhere from 50 to 80. Is having the hardware be simulated with an FPGA worth the extra money to you? Is the extra features that this gives to you? The breadth of, then again, even with that, you could emulate all the consoles that you could do on here. So it's, it's up to you how you want to spend your money, but just keep in mind you're paying a premium here, and it is an awesome device, and I'm happy that I own it. But if you want just a portable gaming experience where you could play a game with a plumber that just so happened to be a pack-in game for the SNES, or you want to play Castlevania on the go, Harmony of Dissonance, or even Super Castlevania 4 like I showed before, you don't need to have an analog pocket to do that. You could do it many other ways, way cheaper. All right, I'll sit here blabbing, playing Castlevania for 3 hours, which, since this is an ASMR video, you may like, but I think I'm going to bring this home. Yeah, I may have to do a part 2 to this. I talked a lot, man, a lot. So, yeah, this is my collection. I also have I'll show the Retroid Pocket and Retroid Pocket Flip in part 2. And I think those will be cool. I honestly think those will have enough to say about those, that those kind of need their own video. And if you want me to, leave your thoughts in the comments. If you're even still awake at this point, Jesus, this is an hour and a half video. Let me know if you want individual kind of maybe reviews of these cool stuff. Also, here's a GBA. I think I just said that, but if I didn't, here it is. Works perfectly too. All right, everybody. This is Rich of Tech 25 ASMR signing out.